Are you anxious? Are you stressed by your never-ending to-do list? Are you overwhelmed by the tireless and endless clutter throughout your entire house? I would love for you to join me on this week's episode. We are going to get into all things about the mind. We are in this I Am Identity series on the podcast here, and we are going to talk about how to detach from your thoughts to experience a mindful motherhood. I am so glad that you're here. You're right where you need to be, Mama. So sit back, enjoy, listen in, and let's dive in. Up with the intention of being a present and patient mom, only to find yourself feeling overwhelmed and depleted amidst the chaos of daily life? Hi, I'm Lesley, a mom of littles and the host of the Grounded Mama podcast. Here we will find balance by integrating practices that reduce overstimulation and stress in order to enhance your whole family's well-being. Ready to slow down and be the intentional mother you desire to be? Okay, Mama, it's time to feel grounded. Take a deep breath and let's dive in. Hey mamas, I hope you are having a happy Saturday. I kind of switched things up this week and did a little bit of a bonus episode on Thursday, and I was traveling for work and I wanted to get back and just share this from my home space. I could have done it while traveling, but decided to be back and be present and be here with you all. So happy Saturday. How's everybody doing? I am loving this series. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am putting it out there for you. And this week we're talking about the mind. You know, I did a little bit of a intro of a coaching call that I was facilitating a few months ago and just talking about mindfulness, and especially mindfulness in motherhood, and kind of not becoming controlled by our minds. It's a tool, right? Like our mind is there to help us survive, but sometimes it can get in the driver's seat a little bit, right there along with the ego. And so today we're really going to talk about how to, detach from your thoughts, to detach from the experience you might be having, and to really take a step back and again have some more heightened awareness or mindfulness around your motherhood journey, and also when it comes to identity, because that's what we're talking about here on this podcast series. And I couldn't help myself but have the window open. So if there is some background noise, that is where it's coming from. The birds are chirping. It's a beautiful spring day. I love spring. I love seeing all the blossoms on the trees and all the little baby animals and the green grass. It's just, it's like such an invitation to just feel rebirthed in a way, like everything is new again. So that is going to be maybe going on in the background. I hope it's not too distracting. So before we get started, I just wanted to remind you, I am doing an Embrace Your Identity or Discover Your Identity workshop on Tuesday, April 22nd. It is going to be at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you're in Pacific time, you're an hour behind. Central time's an hour forward. Eastern time is 2 hours ahead of Mountain time. So it's always confusing. I feel like I don't know why it can't be a little less complicated. But I'd love for you to join me. We're going to be talking a little bit about, again, this podcast series in a light of like live interaction and in an inviting and welcoming space. So it's going to be about motherhood. It's going to be about identity. It's going to be about nervous system regulation. It's going to be a little bit of everything. I just kind of wanted to hold space for those of you who are listening to this series and wanting to dive in a little bit deeper. So I would love for you to join me. I have the registration in the show notes, and I feel like it's going to be great, and have time to answer maybe some questions, kind of live Q&A at the end if anybody wants to talk about, anything related or anything that's coming up. So would love to have you join me. The link is in the show notes, but it is https /bit.ly/embrace your identity. So there you have it. I would love for you to join me if you're driving and you're like, I'll forget to look later, and you can remember that. Would love to have you. So let's get started. And I want to start off with a little bit of an analogy here and remind you that you are not your mind. Your mind is like the ocean, it's always moving. And it was meant to do that. If you can kind of maybe close your eyes and just envision, the top of an ocean, or even if you're sitting on a beach, maybe, and imagining and envisioning ocean waves coming up and over and breaking, and then kind of melting away and just kind of like creeping onto the beach. That's kind of like your mind, and the top can be really wakey and a lot of movement and a lot of activity, but down below, deep down below, it's still, it's quiet, it's silent, it's it's dark, like the layers of the ocean are so different. And that's kind of a good analogy of like your emotions too, which we are going to get into emotions here in a couple weeks. Actually, the week of the workshop, we're going to talk about emotions and identity to emotions. So kind of like that wave breaking over and then like the rest of what's left of the wave just trickling up onto the beach. That's kind of like our mind. Our mind is kind of always moving. It's always processing. It's always thinking. And it is a tool. But you have to remember that this tool, our minds are always going to try and keep us safe. So that can be a good thing, but that can also maybe not be helpful if we are trying to be in a state of growth or a place of uncertainty or a place of trying something new. Our mind is going to want to keep us safe. So thank you. Thank you, mind. I feel you. I see you. I understand that you are trying to keep me safe, but this is safe for me to do this. That's a great reminder sometimes as we move forward. Remind your mind that you are safe. The mind is not wired to thrive. It's wired to survive. Again, it is a tool. Like it is what protects us. And again, as I just shared those little examples, like if you're interested in trying a podcast, like in the beginning, that was very intimidating for me. And I felt not unsafe, but like my mind was trying to keep me in that stuck mode of moving forward with doing a podcast, when I knew I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do as a hobby. Like it started off as a hobby. So, again, remind yourself that your mind is a tool and it is there to keep you safe. And it's kind of like inviting all parts of you to the table, like all of your inner childs, all of the versions of you that have been in this life, like invite them all to the table and say, thank you for trying to keep me safe. I see you, I acknowledge you, but I'm still going to move forward with this. Because, we talked a lot about spirituality last week and the I am identity piece of that last week. And it's the opposite of God, because God doesn't operate from a scarcity mind. So that's why we started with the spirituality component of this series, because God is not scarce. God is not lack. God is not enough, right? It's our mind, but that's where our mind goes. Our mind wants to keep us safe. Our mind wants to stay in that not enoughness. Our mind wants to stay in the scarcity. Don't do that because that's not going to go well for you, or don't do that. That's not good enough for you. It is the opposite of God there. So that's why we really start with that foundational piece of spirituality. In my program and in this series, we're kind of building similarly to how my program is with these pillars of spirituality, mental, and then we're going to dive into physical next week. And we're going to end with emotional. So our mind is a critic and it is addicted to the struggle. I think we are conditioned in society, or there's a lot of conditioning in our childhood where things are supposed to be hard. Like you have to work hard to make money, or, you have to show up, and things in life can't come easy, right? So again, our mind is a tool that wants to think that things are hard and that there is scarcity and that you are in lack. So your brain creates this fear because it loves you and it just wants to keep you safe. So again, that's why you show up with it, like honor it, nurture it, say I love you, I see you, because it is just trying to do its job ultimately. But again, that job can keep you, it could keep you stuck. It can keep you from making that move forward of starting that family, or, like sometimes like, oh, am I really ready to have a baby? Like, no, none of us are. So just if that's what's calling you, do it. Just like this podcast. I was like, oh, am I really ready to have a podcast? Like, I don't know all the tech stuff. I went for it anyways. So again, like you're never really going to be fully ready because you have to experience something to learn from it. You can't just sit on the sidelines and read the playbook and be like, okay, I got it. I'm going to take this risk assessment and decide not to do it, because again, the mind will want to keep you safe and comfortable and what you already know. The unknown is very scary to your mind. And our minds think if we let go of our defenses that it will be vulnerable, and vulnerability is scary, and vulnerability is danger, and alert. So to kind of lay those walls down and to see that opportunity on the other side of that fear, that is where the magic happens. So the first step here is, mindfulness comes from awareness. Awareness is huge. Awareness is the step. That is like the first step that you need to take in this journey, in this, again, the stripping down of what fake IDs, like we talked about in episode 51. Like, what do you need to lay down? What are you aware of that doesn't belong to you anymore? What are you aware of that does feel good to you? So you can't change what you don't notice. So awareness is key. Awareness is step number one. And I love this little analogy, like our mind, and especially it being springtime outside and about ready to start planting, and our mind is a garden. So do you want to plant seeds or weeds? What is your choice that you want to put in your brain, and that scarcity and that lack, or that, oh, anything is possible, getting over that hump of fear, seeing what's on the other side as opportunity versus, might not work out. So, and even just like the simplest term, like the grass isn't always greener on the other side, like what a negative, awareness around what, but you don't know if you don't try, if it's green. You don't know if you don't walk to the other side of the hill, if it's greener or not. You gotta go through that experience, and your mind will keep you where you are and keep you stagnant and still. You have so much power over your mind. And when you change the neuroplasticity of your mind, you will change the program. This is something that we work through in my program. Like, again, the awareness piece is key. And you start to change these ways and these thoughts and these belief patterns that you have had, maybe your entire life, maybe your adult life, or where did this even come from? I don't even want to believe this. Sometimes over the last few years, I'll say things out loud and I'm like, I don't even believe, like, why did I just say that? Like, that doesn't even ring true to me anymore. It might have when I was in high school or college or in my young adult life, but like that doesn't sit well with me anymore. I actually don't believe that anymore. Again, you're changing the program. Because, your mind will send you on a wild goose chase, because like I said, as your mind is in this space of lack and this place of scarcity, your heart is in overflow. So and that's kind of the dissonance and the discernment that you need to make in your journey of like, okay, what is up here and what is down here in my heart? Like the fear is the mind. Like your fear is going to hang out up here, but like the wholeness, the completeness, the kind of more of, again, that spirituality piece, like that component in your heart, that's your heart is an overflow. And that's, again, that little inkling of starting a family, or like me, I starting a podcast. Like I knew deep down, like I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I overcame the fear. I got out of the mind and into the body. And again, we're going to talk about the physical component next week of identity. But the story of your mind is holding on the story that your mind is holding on to so tightly is not even the full story. Again, when your mind experiences something new, your mind thinks you're in danger. So your mind is going to give you a story or a perception of what is happening, and your mind will take it and run with that. So you're not even getting the full story or the full picture. It is more of a scarcity, fear-based story that your mind is taking and running with. Again, kind of like that grass isn't always greener on the other side. Like, what is the story that your mind is telling you about this circumstance, about this feeling that you're having? Like, maybe write it down, journal it, and then sometimes even just getting it on paper is, again, creating that space, creating that awareness around, that's actually interesting. My mind went there versus what a great opportunity this could be, or what a great experience this could be, versus, it's not going to work out, or, I'm just trying to throw some examples out there. So if you're not really clear on where to go with this, hopefully that will help you. It's kind of a hard wiring in our bodies. And, as I talk about nervous system, and maybe some of you are like, what is a nervous system? That's okay. That's why you're here. You're in the right spot. We're going to get into that as this podcast, moves forward. But your nervous system is addicted to receiving more and wanting more. We're kind of on this dopamine hit. And like our mind wants us to stay in lack because it always wants us leaving or wanting more. And versus that place of abundance, that place of wholeness, that place of overflow that our heart is in. And we want to avoid receiving what we already have, because once we feel that moment of that wholeness or that contentment, our mind is going to step into fear and hijack that moment, thinking that it's going to end, right? Like our mind is going to take that moment and say, nope, this is danger. This is not safe. This is going to end. You are not safe, because experiencing this place of happiness is not going to be here forever. So it's almost like, I feel like happiness is kind of it's a problem. It's a goalpost, because what we envision or our mind believes happiness is external, right? And so we're always chasing that goalpost, no matter where it moves or where it goes. It's an inside job, and it's tricky, because like you said, like there is so much fear in our mind. And if you're like tucking your kids in or watching them sleep like little angels, or you're really enjoying a moment out at the park on a sunny day, like, oh, this is so great. Like, do you ever have that feeling in your mind, like waiting for the other shoe to drop kind of experience? Like, this is so wonderful. Or even if they're finally sleeping through the night and then they're like, well, there's just going to be another regression. Like your mind always wants to prepare you to be in that space of lack, or that kind of takes you and sucks you right out of that happiness. Because our brain is worried that we're going to set down the striving if we're happy. Again, that do more, be more, constantly, like that hustle culture that so many of us are addicted to. We live in such a dysregulated society. It's insane. So when you're happy and you have that contentment and that wholeness feeling of like, this is it. This is my motherhood journey. It's so like, I love this. Your brain's going to tiptoe in and say, hey, this isn't going to last, So just some things to just play with here. I'm just trying to give you some valid points of what the mind might be doing around experiences and circumstances in your life or feelings in your life that might bring you into an attachment to an identity that's not even yours, right? And this will come full circle towards the end. You're probably like, where is she going with some of this? But so some big mic drops here, and I know this can be a lot, especially if, like I said, you're like, what's a nervous system? I don't even know. Again, these feelings, these emotions, these bodily sensations, these thoughts that are mind, like it's all interconnected. It all kind of comes full circle in the end, I promise you. Because, serotonin is what makes us experience receiving what really is right now. Like that present moment, kind of like what I was just talking about. Like that's the serotonin, is the the peace that you find in the present moment. And dopamine, we all probably have heard dopamine more than serotonin, but dopamine is a temporary rush. And dopamine hits are like that quick scroll on social media, or that gratification on social media, or achieving something that gave you an external satisfaction or gratification. Like, that's a dopamine, and you want to do it again because you are, we get addicted. We get addicted to the dopamine hits. They're little tiny hits, but they don't last. They do not last. They're so quick. But again, that serotonin feeling is more of like a blissful moment, like being in the present, contentment, wholeness, overflow. Those are just words to use for that feeling, so you can kind of discern between the two. And when you look back at your life, you don't think about those dopamine moments, or do you? Do you look at the achievements that you made in life, and again, things to be proud of, but things that do not take the driver's seat by any means. I think sometimes we're in such an achievement focused society, like achieve, do. And it's like, how about, again, more about the being in the present moment, being with your family, being and doing things that are making you feel wholeness and happiness, and being outside, soaking up the sunshine. It's interesting. So again, just maybe ask yourself, if I were to be 86 tomorrow and look back on my entire life, what are the moments that are going to stick out the most right now? Is it going to be the Instagram likes, or the Instagram reels, or the claim to fame that you might have had, or the winning soccer game that you had in college? I don't know. It might be, but, and again, all of our experiences are different. There's no judgment attached to this question. It's just maybe look back on your life right now, and what are the moments that truly stick out for you? Is it the moments that, your kids were sick from school and you got to stay home and play dress up all day, or, that trip that you were supposed to go on didn't work out, but you were able to make a really great experience right at home, or camping out in your backyard, or just those little things, and looking at your kids' eyes light up on Christmas morning. What are those moments right now that you're carrying with you? Lay down the dopamine hits. That's my message from this, is lay down those dopamine hits and exchange them for the serotonin moments. And because that's what life is about. That is truly what we are here. What God created us for is those moments of serotonin, not the dopamine. Our worldview, our worldly addictions, shadow addictions, those are the dopamine hits. And so I want you to trade this attachment to something for an experience. This is where the title of this podcast stemmed from, was we run around putting these names on ourselves, or identifying with these things, and we might not even realize it, but we take it and run with it, and it's part of our narrative of who we really are. I am anxious. I am stressed. I am overwhelmed. I am, oh my gosh, I am. That's why it's this whole podcast series is I am. The I am podcast series. It's so important of attachment to these external identities. I am happy. Again, it could be positive, or maybe on the negative side of attachment to a feeling. And instead of attaching to that feeling, I invite you to reframe your thought, and I am feeling anxious. I am feeling stressed. I am feeling a moment of sensation in my body happening where I have tightness in my chest. Do you see the difference? Attaching to the thing itself versus exchanging it for an experience you're having, because you are not the thing. You are not anxious. You are having an anxious a circumstance triggered a experience in you, And that is what you are like. It's an experience that you're having. It's not something that makes up who you are as your core identity. So I would really invite you, next time you are inviting yourself, or next time you're saying something to somebody, like, I invite you to say, not I am having a really hard time with, or gosh, I'm trying to think of something that's like like I'm not a good cook. I would say I could be more creative with my dinner recipes. Like instead of attaching to it, it's an experience. Like I am going to create a more unique experience about the thing. I'm just trying to give you some different ideas around this. Again, if you find yourself clinging to these external labels that we like to put on ourselves, we want to belong, right? We want to belong to a group. We want to, and I guess another perfect example, I talked about it on this bonus episode, actually, like postpartum depression. I had postpartum depression with my first. I was able to realize my triggers and realize my awareness around what caused me to have those sensations and those experiences in my body, and identify those, and to be able to receive more support, to get more sleep. What was it that was setting those experiences in my body off, so that I attached to postpartum, to having that postpartum depression. With my second, I was very aware of those triggers. And so I was proactive in managing those triggers. So when I had experiences come up in my body, I knew the resources that I needed to tap into to help alleviate that, right? So it's not something that is with me forever. It was an experience I was having, and how to manage those experiences better. Again, I'm not a doctor. None of this is medical advice. It's just a way to maybe rewire your brain in thinking of how you're attaching to something, because your brain will take something. Again, that's why I kind of prefaced with everything I did in the beginning of this episode, is your brain will take something and run with it. And it's fear-based, it's scarcity-based, and it will make up this story in your head that's not even the full story, right? So to be able to like take a step back, have awareness, lay down the hard, because it doesn't have to be hard. Like it's to surrender all of those things, like lay down the things that maybe you don't want to attach to, or you don't want to belong to, or you don't want to even associate with. Like lay everything down. I invite you to do that. And drop the dopamine, like drop the hits, the rush, because in a way it's a caveat. Like you can feel good for a minute from some of these associations or these things that we're attaching to. But in the long run, it's that serotonin that's the hit that you want, that serotonin, not the dopamine. And last thing here, as we kind of wrap up, is like our mind is always going to want to do three things. It's either going to want to suppress our feelings, express our feelings, or escape our feelings. And I would invite you to pay attention to that throughout this next week. Like, ooh, I'm feeling really sad. What do I like about it? Doesn't matter what it's about, but like if you're honoring your experience, right? And you're coming into a feeling, and like, I'm feeling really sad because my husband forgot that, Tuesday was my night out with the girls, and he booked, a dinner with his friends. I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to give you different examples, but like, I'm feeling sad. And so what are you going to do with that feeling? Are you going to suppress it? Are you going to express it? Or are you going to escape from it? Our suppressed feelings are stored stress responses in our bodies, and our bodies are holding on to them, even though we might not realize it, or we might have just swept it under the rug and it's fine there. It's going to stay there. Like it does fester in your body. Like it is stored in your body now. Like if you do suppress a feeling, if you express it, if you want to cry, say that I'm going to run with sad. I'm feeling sad because XYZ, whatever that is. It's like, I need to cry, journal, take time for myself, like honor your needs, honor what you need in that moment to fully express that feeling. It takes 90 seconds to express an emotion. And if we just all took the time to actually properly express our emotions when we're feeling them versus suppressing them or escaping from them, we would be such a so much more healthy society. And I've talked about this on episodes before, like giving that idea of like, how many times did you hear as a kid to stop crying? And it's like, like how, and are you passing that on to your kids? Like, are you not letting them express their needs, their feelings? And again, it's kind of like that the animals in the wilderness scene. Like you've seen it before, like where two animals will kind of come up and duke it out for like a hot minute and then they take off and they're like, good. That's like us as humans too. Like we need to express and get that emotion feeling out of our bodies so we don't take it and store it and carry it with us. And as like what it looks like if you want to escape your feelings, kind of like what we talked about a little bit earlier in this episode, is like your shadow addictions. What does that look like? Do you want to just escape from that circumstance, that feeling that you're having, and tap into your phone, tap into alcohol, tap into, whatever your binge shopping or Netflix or cleaning, or working, like everybody's shadow addictions are different. And we kind of discuss that in my program too. We kind of tap into that, what that looks like for you. And so it's interesting that we can have these shadow addictions that we think are like, oh, no big deal, because I think it's normalized by our culture and our society. But escaping can also be projecting yourself onto other people. Like, do you ever see yourself mirroring or like assuming somebody else's narrative or story or situation based on what you're trying to escape from, or you're analyzing them in a light of you in a sense? So, again, the four things, like in a nutshell, like in a pretty little bow, if you didn't have time to listen to this whole thing, this was a little bit longer than I expected. Awareness, first step is awareness. You can't change what you don't notice. Lay down the hard, lay down the struggle. Like, this has to be hard. Your mind wants to make it hard. It is just a tool. It is there to help you survive, but it is not the tool in the driver's seat. Like, put it in the passenger seat or put it in the back seat and say, thank you, I've got this. Do not let it take the driver's seat. Drop the dopamine, literally, like whatever is those little hits that you find yourself needing more of, lay it down. Like, I really invite you to just lay that down. And it doesn't have to be, it can be whatever it looks like for you. 5 minutes, or, oh, I know I'm, too much on social media. I'm going to just delete the app for a day, or whatever that looks like to you. And then detach from that feeling or experience and really honor yourself in that process, right? Like you want to detach from making it about you and just being in the experience or being in that feeling. And while that is uncomfortable, which your mind will tell you, danger, alert, I honor you to sit. I invite you and honor your process through sitting through that. So I know this was a lot. If you guys have any questions, if you'd love to connect with me, I'd love for you to join my group on Heartbeat. Or if you want to sign up for the workshop coming up in a couple of weeks, I'd love to see you in there and just get to know you on a personal note. And yeah, I hope everybody has a blessed week. Happy Saturday. I hope you enjoy your day with your family, and God bless. Hey mama, thank you for joining me today. If this episode resonated with you, would you take a few seconds and share it with a fellow mom friend who is also navigating this journey of motherhood? Also, if you could spare a moment of your precious time and leave a 5-star review for the show, it lights me up to know that this podcast is helping you mother with ease. Time to go rest and ground down in all that we covered here today. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode with love and gratitude.